Greetings YouTube, and welcome to my next weapon build. I have an idea here. Now I picked up this blade, which is to a weed whacker, a 8-point blade designed for a 10,000 RPM weed whacker. And I picked up this for $1 at a flea market, and I bought this cut off axe handle, I guess, for probably less than that at a yard sale. Now what I want to do is I want to cut a slot so that I can put this blade about there. I'm going to round off this, drill 2 holes in here, which will sit on either side of this, because I don't want to use this hole. This hole is too sloppy, so if I used that hole and another hole, this is going to slop around. Whereas if I use 2 holes, 1/4 inch. I think I may. If I'm going to use my Blair rotor broach on this one because it'll make my life easier. I think the smallest I have is 5/16. So I'll use a 5/16 here. Then I will. Oh, but I'll drill 2/4 inch holes. Drill a 5/16 here, and then put the split in. Probably round it first, then put the split in, and then 1 hole here. Pin it with a 1/4 bolt, and then drill this one with the drill. The reason I want to do that is that means I avoid having to measure 2 holes here to exactly match the 2 holes in the handle, and if you get them wrong, you get really frustrated. It is much easier to drill the 2 holes here and then make this match that. Just a little tip I figured out over the years. Now, the big limiting factor in this particular project has been putting the slot, which is going to come down. See how the slot's going to need to come to here. Okay, so you're looking at 6-inch slot. Okay, you're looking at a 6-inch slot. And the problem with putting a 6-inch slot in this is I do not have a convenient method for producing a 6-inch slot. I don't have a table saw. I don't have a routing table, which would be options 1 and 2 for cutting a slot in a fairly narrow piece of wood. This would be perfect on a table saw. Yeah, I'd end up with a section in here, a little triangle that I would have to take out by a saw, but that would be fine. The rest of it would be get done in one pass, and I'd be finished. A routing table would do the same thing. I could come this way, turn it over, and do it the other way. Probably get halfway through both. And again, with the right kind of fence and the right kind of making a nice slow cut, I could get that slot nice and straight and perfect for this blade. No problem. I don't have those options. I have a circular saw. This is way too small. That's way too big, depending on where to look at it. Too dangerous. Just too darn dangerous. I have hand saws, so I could mount this vertically and then try to cut a slot in this all the way down with a handsaw, and I don't think I can do that. I really don't. Not to have it be straight and functional. I still may start it slightly. I have an old compound saw, a miter box, that's what I'm looking for, miter box saw. I don't need it anymore. I have a chop saw, a good 10-inch chop saw. But I may use that saw because it's very rigid, because it's got the reinforced spine. I may use that to start a cut. Or maybe go all the way down to that reinforced spine. And then I'm stuck. I'm still going to have to cut that much of a cut, a slot in this. So I own an angle grinder. Now this is designed for cutting, designed for fast cutting of most masonry materials. Ideal for cutting concrete, brick, block, stone, and stucco. Use wet or dry diamond blade. So that's not designed for wood. This is a heck of a lot softer than stone. So can I use that blade to cut through this and make me a slot? That's an excellent question. And while I was at Harbor Freight today, I bought this for $10 because it's an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. If it does work, I may invest in a better quality one. But at the moment, $10 is what I want to play with. I also picked it up. This is designed specifically for a 4.5 inch angle grinder. This is a Carbide Cup Wheel designed for shaping wood, because I have another project that this may come in handy for. Save me some time and effort if I have this. It may work, I don't know. So before I cut my only tool handle is the shape and the patina and everything I want, I'm not going to just experiment on this. I'll destroy it. But I have this old board. I actually have no clue what this board's from, none whatsoever. So I'm going to clamp it down and just try cutting with that saw, see if I can make some standard cuts, and then see maybe I can put a small slot in this, and how well does it work. If it does what I need it to do, we're all set, and I just go to town on my tool handle right here with that saw blade. Don't know if it's going to work. Like I said, this is an experiment. It could fail spectacularly on me. We're going to find that out. So, time to suit up, put my safety gear on, my apron, my hearing protection, my eye protection, everything. I got my shop shoes on. These are now officially my shop shoes because one of the last project I worked down here, I showered myself in so many sparks from cutting metal that I melted the shoelaces on this shoe. And I actually thought I set my socks on fire. Luckily, I did not. When I was done that project, however, I was hot and sweaty, so I took a shower. And when I was finished, I removed the bath mat from the tub because I hang it so it'll dry and not get all mildewy. And there was just a layer of metal filings on the bottom of my tub that had washed out of my beard and off my skin. It was quite spectacular. I was carrying, like a 1/4 ounce of metal on my body. It was really amazing. So, time to put that in there and start playing with this board and see if I can do anything. And if I can, we're going to mount this in here. Once I get it roughly where I want it, I will sharpen it. It's not really sharp at the moment. I'm going to sharpen it. Probably going to leave the sticker on there. I see no reason not to. Let's have a go. See what happens. Well, it works. Plunge cuts aren't that nice. It made a slot not too bad, and it cut that corner off without any difficulty, and it made that cut pretty good. And it is the perfect width for this blade. So this ends up being the perfect width. So this does work. Unfortunately, it burns, so it makes smoke, because it's not really designed to cut wood. I'm probably going way too fast. This thing's probably putting out way too many RPMs for the purpose that it's meant for. It's a good speed if you're cutting masonry, all right? That's what it's designed to do. So I'm not hurting the blade in any way. But yeah, definitely this is conceivably going to work. So now I'm going to take this handle and I'm going to start the cut with a handsaw, and then we're going to see what happens. And I may try the angle grinder with that blade in it and see if I can get a similar result. But I got to be careful. It's dangerous, and I'm trying not to hurt that handle. I need to round it off first. Need to put the radius on the end. I'm trying not to hurt the handle because I really like the patina on it. I'd like to do the minimum amount of damage to it as possible. So, time to do some rounding and then some drilling so I get the holes, the 2 side holes, taken care of before I start. That'll be easier before the split is there, before the slot's there. Easier to go through solid wood than go through 2 pieces of wood with a gap in the middle. So yeah, that's the next step, I guess. I'm still working on the slot, and I realized that to make the whole process a little easier on myself, it would be good if I had one of the holes in the blade so that I could then line that up with one of the first hole in the shaft, so that I would then know how deep my cut has to go, because I don't want to go any deeper than I have to. I don't want to make more work for myself. So I've got the blade clamped into my drill press, just using these 2 1/4-20s, and these are the same 1/4-20s I use on this clamp, and it's the same 1/4-20s I use to hold that in place, my V-block. So these 1/4-20s do multiple things for me, and at the moment I'm just using them all by themselves to hold the blade in place. Got a little oil on there. As Adam Savage says, you can never have enough lubrication. And now I'm going to drill a hole through this. So again, so I have a hole in this that will then line up in the hole in the shaft, so I know how far I need to cut the slot. Well, didn't round it over quite the shape I wanted, but that's close enough. Those two holes were real easy to drill, no problem at all. That slot though, that slot was a bear. So I ended up doing a combination of using my miter box handsaw and a little bit of my Japanese pull saw here to essentially, I would cut a thin slot with the saw, and then I would use the angle grinder blade to open that slot up. Cut a little more, open it up, and I'd have to keep rotating it like this because the blade is not big enough to go all the way through. It wasn't wide enough. So essentially I could go about 3/4 of the way through on one side, then turn it over and cut the other 3/4 away to the other side. So yeah, the slot is done. It's long enough. It fits. I got both holes in the blade already done. There you go. Both holes in the blade are already drilled. So now I've gotten the last step to this is going to be, besides assembly obviously, is going to be putting some edges on this. So I need to put some edge on this. That's going to be the next thing I do. But get my flap wheel out. That'll probably be the fastest way to do this. It doesn't have to be really pretty. It just has to get the job done. And it doesn't really matter which of these holes I use. It's the top, I don't think. I think that's the top. Yeah, the one with the marker on it is the top. So I'll remember, I'll leave the marker there until I'm done. You can't really see them. You may be able to see the marker. I can see it. That's the top. That's the one pointing up. So I'm going to go ahead and sharpen this up with the flap wheel. And once I get this reasonably sharp, I'm going to assemble it, and the build will be completed. And there we go, all finished. So we have the finished product. I cut off the bolts because they were too long, and I filed those down. In fact, they're still warm. Woo-hoo. Very warm. Sanding them down on my belt sander. So here we have the completed axe, I guess you want to call this thing. It's a sawtooth axe. It's got a nice rough edge to it. I like that, kind of like slightly burred on it. It's kind of what I'm going for. It's got a nice weight to it. It feels good. I did not sharpen these two here, obviously, so that this is quite comfortable. I did have to go deeper into this than I really wanted because I needed to be able to get the whole thing clear, but you know, can't have everything. This is an inexact science because I was really making tools do things that the tools were never intended to do. I also, unfortunately, tore a hole in my shirt while I was working. That sucks. It's one of my favorite shirts. That's life, though. So yeah, I'm happy with this. It's got a good balance to it. It's got a good weight, not too heavy. It's got enough mass behind it. It's got that wonderful jagged post-apocalyptic vibe going on there. I mean, the blade looks a little shinier than the patina on the handle does, but you work with what you got, you know? And I liked the big chunky teeth. I mean, I could have used a saw blade. I got lots of saw blades. In fact, you look over here. I got bunches of saw blades all waiting for projects, but I like the big chunky teeth on this, which is designed for some kind of a weed whacker. But now it's an axe. So that's cool. I'm happy. It came out. It's a good afternoon project. I think this whole thing took me 2 hours, something like that, to get the whole thing done. It would have gone a lot easier if I had a better slot cutting device, and I need to come up with a better slot cutting device than what I have here. I really do. I gotta find something that cuts slots better. I need to get a router table. I cannot put a table saw in my basement. That's not going to happen. Maybe I can get a contractor style, say, table saw, like, you know, what the kind you can fold up and I can stick in my garage and just take out when I need it and then put it back. Maybe that's an option, but I can't have anything bigger than that. And I don't do a lot of lumber anyway. There's a couple of projects I got in mind that may need some, you know, breaking down some plywood, but I've got a nice circular saw, so I can do that as well, you know, to make. Like, I want to build a tiny library for my property. But so yeah, got to come up with a better slot making process. Anybody has any suggestions on how to make a better slot? I'm open to your suggestions. Now, I thought of lots of ways that I could set up a guide for my saber saw to guide the saber saw in a nice vertical style so that it would be perfectly vertical, all set using channel lock, or not channel lock, using like angle irons and making a channel, and I could do the whole thing. The only thing I could not figure out is how do I mount the shaft in the path of the blade and then clamp it. I cannot figure out how to do that. Now I know I've seen people turn a circular saw into a small table saw. I don't know if that's something I want to tackle. That's a very ambitious project. I don't think it's really in my future. I've seen it done. I know that. But yeah, anybody got any suggestions for cutting slots in handles, particularly axe handles? I am open to suggestions because this is a problem I encounter a lot. And it's kind of frustrating. Alrighty. Thank you for being here for this particular weapons project. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll be here for the next one. I'm going to go take some still shots, and they will be up on my Instagram and my DeviantArt page, as well as at the end of this video. So, thanks, and see you next time.